Howdy.
Hey, Jason. How's it going, man?
Good. Hi, Glenn. How are you?
Hey, Jason. I don't know if we've met before. Have you been on the
I did
pod?
this once, but
It's been on the pod.
Okay,
yeah.
well, there you go. It's been a
Yes.
while.
Chris is always accosting me at conferences.
I'm always.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, the weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 26 of 2024. I'm Chris Louie, and freezing my tail off even though it's officially the start of summer. With me, I do not have my co-host Duke Silver because it's his turn to work on his tan. And I should mention, we did forget to wish all the dads out there happy Father's Day. That was last week's episode that came out right after Father's Day. And just remember, without fathers, there would be no dad jokes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, kind of funny, right? Brian not being here, it's kind of like a weird voice. Turns the PEBCAK to something totally different.
It's a lot more appropriate and a lot less editing.
Oh, should I make it for him and start cursing right now?
Yeah.
Yep, start being inappropriate.
You know
Start
what,
being
Glenn?
inappropriate.
And we have Glenn Medina, or should we call him Island Life Glenn, or ILG. Welcome back, Glenn.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I don't know if you could tell. I got a tan. I've got raccoon eyes here from being at the Turks and Caicos for better part of like 5 days. So it was a great time. Good fun down there with folks from Ireland, staying on an island for a little bit.
Working at island on an island. Love it.
That's right. Love it. It's so awesome. Love being here.
Our guest this week is Jason Hernandez. I think I got to see you all of 20 seconds when we were at Zenith Live last week, but it's great to have you back on again. Jason, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Jason Hernandez. I saw you, for 20 seconds at Zenith Live. It was a great time. The best 20 seconds I experienced in Las Vegas, definitely. Man, Zenith Live was a trip. I landed, and for 72 hours straight, I was in like meetings, and it was a crazy experience, and I was on the plane back.
And you got a tan while you were out there. That's awesome.
I got a tan. I spent 90 minutes by the pool. That was my free time for 90 minutes.
That's enough in Vegas.
Yep.
Yeah, gotta take your customers out to a pool party like Glenn does.
Yeah.
I'll be back in Vegas for Black Hat. Hopefully we'll see you out there.
I'll be out
there. And
then,
great. And then sales kick off in late August. So
Yeah, we'll all do a pool party when we're out there again.
Which pool did you go to? To the baby pool or the adult pool?
The adult pool, we were at Caesars. We were moved away from the baby pool because it was being taken over for a private event.
Oh, fancy.
So, yeah.
It's probably another sales rep that booked the pool for their customers or something.
Exactly. Well, I'm out of Minneapolis. I live. The interesting thing about where I live is I'm 1 mile away from Paisley Park, the home of Prince, his home and recording studio.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You're also close to the Arctic Circle up there too, right? Being from
That as well. Yeah.
So,
Yep. The glacier's receding slowly.
so right now you get like 22 hours of sunlight and 2 hours of dusk where you're at.
Yeah, Arctic foxes. Yep, killer whales. You name it.
Cool. So yeah, my sunset here is 8:30, and yesterday I think was officially the longest number of daylight hours. When's your sunset, Jason?
About the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it'll be dark about 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Wow. I thought it would have been farther up north. It would have stayed till like 9:30 for you.
Well, the populated part of Minnesota is the southern part of the state. So,
Okay.
but as you go farther north towards the boundary waters, it's a little more desolate and Arctic.
Yeah, I remember being in Seattle like at 9 p.m. and it was still light out. I'm like, oh, this is wild. Not used to this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this week,
welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me.
This week, we're going to talk about phone-based scams, a bread maker paying a ransom. For our third topic, the beekeeper is needed now more than ever, and close with mental health improvement talk. For our first topic, our guest Jason sent over this article about common phone scams, and I think it's important to highlight them for our audience to protect them and the people that you know. According to our US FCC, Americans lost over $850 million to phone scams in 2023, and that number is just going to get worse until something changes. Some common scams are related to missing packages, tax or jury fines, and credit card fraud. We've all gotten the SMS text messages that our credit card has been stolen and we have a package that's tried to be delivered and we have to click a link to fix it, but we all know it's a scam. Some things this article recommends: always call back on a known number and do not use web searches to get the contact information. Things like poison SEO or search engine optimization can cause the wrong number to jump to the top when you search for things like PayPal or Visa customer support. The best thing to do is flip your credit card over and call the number on the back. Also, the scammers may know some details about you, but do not lend them any legitimacy because much of that information is available publicly online and through data breaches.
What a trip, right? The fact that some of this is still not like basic 101 for a lot of people has me a little memorized in this day and age. But then again, I get myself caught into these things as well. Like yesterday, there was some person knocking door to door, passing out these flyers for, I don't know if you guys knew, this new city that they're trying to build based off of a bunch of wealthy tycoons in Southern California. They're trying to build this new city, and they've got to get this bill to pass in order to start building. And the guy comes up, and I open my door just at the same time he's leaving. He goes, "Hey, are you so-and-so?" And I'm like, "Nope." "Are you so-and-so?" And I'm like, "Nope." And I kind of look at him, and he goes, "So you're not?" And I'm like, "Nope." And he goes, "So how are you going to vote?" And I'm like, "I'm going to vote, but not with you telling me how to vote." Right? And he goes, "I'll read your pamphlet later on. I'm heading out the door." And he kind of looks at me, goes, "So what about these other folks that are registered here?" I'm like, "Yeah, good. Have fun. Like, where do they live?" And I'm like, "Well, apparently you have it listed down somewhere. You got my name, my number, something." And like I said, I'm not going to confirm any of this stuff with you. I have no idea who the hell you are. So how about you just go on to the next door? Yep. Right? So, yeah.
Exactly. In 2024, the idea that someone can call you and speak to you directly or show up at your door just seems so invasive.
Yeah.
But, 20 years ago, that was the normal. Well, that was the standard, right?
The fact that he's staring at his phone and calling out names of family members, I was like, where did he get this from? But then you got to remember, right? This is all
voter registration rules.
Voter registration rules, tax filing, something.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's amazing.
Your information is out there. And if it's not publicly available, it's all available on the dark web anyway. We've all been breached and owned already.
And the second one was kind of hilarious. Was someone who was calling. I don't know if it was a telemarketer or it was like targeted phishing, where they had called my house just this morning. And they're like, "Hey, do you own this address?" And I'm like, "What if I do?" And they're like, "Well, we'd like to make an offer on your house." I'm like, "Cool, you're gonna give me $1 million for my house?" And they're like, "No." I said, "Well, you called me. You want me to sell my house. Apparently you're going to give me really good money for it."
That's the opening offer, $1 million. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, okay, never mind. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time."
You're not our target audience. You're not a sucker.
Yeah.
Yes. This article stood out to me because exactly that is that who answers the phone anymore, right? Yeah. Like, if it's not my mom or my wife or like somebody I know, I'm not picking up, right? And if I see a voicemail, maybe I'll check it. But I think all these scams like rely on that old school mentality of someone's calling me, it must be important, I better answer. And then the back half of that is the sense of urgency they immediately try to create.
Yeah. And
then you thinking that you have any chance against folks who do this all day, every day.
Yeah.
Who perfectly know how to hack a brain into getting what they want. Yeah. It's just remarkable that anyone picks up the phone anymore.
So, do you guys like, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck? I'm even though I don't want to say that I'm big into stereotypes. I'm big into stereotypes, right? Even though we're not supposed to be big in stereotypes. If someone calls me and I happen to pick up the phone and it comes in as a foreign accent that I totally can barely understand, and you're telling me you're from the IRS and you're coming to arrest me, yeah, have fun with that. Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't send me gift cards, we're going to put you in the jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're behind D-bars.
Yeah.
I had a previous job once where the CISO was concerned because people were getting targeted calls. And they came to me as a security engineer, like, how can you stop this? And I'm like, I can't stop people from calling one another, right? We don't own
not the old
our
school
employees' personal
switchboard or
phones.
anything,
Yeah. Right, I can't stop people from getting bad texts and phone calls, and that's definitely not within our layered security controls for this company.
Yeah.
Security awareness training.
Well, I thought with the FCC though, there was like a mobile or telephone registration where you can't get, dial for dollar calls, right? And I think that's still working, but now it's scam
That's the do not call list. Yeah.
Yeah.
The do not call
But
list.
guess what? The criminals don't honor the law.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
You know what they should do is just make it a little bit more difficult in order to get phone numbers to call from, right? These dialing centers where they can like call and get like 50 numbers or 100 numbers. But I guess the telephone companies, so do they want the money so
They don't
bad?
care. Yeah, they just look the other way.
They don't care, right?
Yeah.
Without
They're not
some type of
incentivized at
valid
all.
registration. Yeah, exactly.
It's sort of like bank fraud. Like here in the U.S., if I think someone steals your debit card, and there's very strict reporting requirements, or maybe not debit card, but maybe like Zelle, like, the peer-to-peer payments, like a lot of the Zelle fraud, banks are not responsible for it, and you're on the hook if you get scanned. But in the UK, it's different. If somebody gets a hold of your equivalent, whatever they have over there of Zelle, and you get scanned, the bank is on the hook. So therefore, the banks in the UK have very stringent controls on how you use Zelle and their peer-to-peer payments, versus here, it's kind of like YOLO. The banks don't care because they're not on the hook.
Yeah, we should change that. We should change that. And that's why I use credit cards. I don't use those other forms of payments because for credit cards, you're not responsible.
Not liable.
Totally not responsible. Yeah.
And then what stood out to me, the most unfortunate part of this story, is the most vulnerable people are like probably our parents, right? That generation, the people who they really fall prey to that sense of urgency, that idea that I've got to act on this right now, that I'm used to getting important phone calls when I was younger, and this is still relevant and important. But that's I think we need to watch out for as our parents' generation, because they fall prey to these sorts of scams.
Definitely. I think it's like a bell curve. The older generation and the younger generation, I think, is also incredibly gullible as well. But we're right in the middle. Like, we grew up being skeptical of everything, hopefully, and so we're hopefully.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're all Gen Xers. We don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Why is it that
Trust,
younger
baby.
generation is so gullible though? You would think like everything that they've seen from the things that we do or happen. I mean, that's how we learn, right? How is it they're vulnerable?
Well, they call them. They call them iGen, the internet generation. So they grew up with the internet, and they grew up without a sense of any privacy. Like when you sign up for any social media account now, everything's public by default. Venmo, public by default. Everybody can see. Everybody in the world can see who you paid and for what, and they just like, well, that's just the way it is. We don't care. But when we grew up, it was always, don't talk to strangers. Don't get into strangers' cars. Don't do this. Don't do that. Stranger danger. I think we were raised a little bit differently, and all the surveys and all the data shows that I think the Gen Z now, or Gen A even, like they don't value privacy at all. Like they'll publish a home address on their Facebook page, but we know better than to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I traveled this past weekend. I just got home the other day, and I'm going through a layover in Washington D.C. Interesting enough, there's three lines. There's the GOs, the
Global entry
people that pre-registered, and you've got people that haven't, and then you've got this middle line that they called embassy or foreign diplomats. I think is what it's called.
Diplomatic passport. Yeah,
diplomatic passports. So I'm standing in this line because my wife doesn't have global entry, and I didn't want to leave her, right? So, and I see these three younger kids show up, and they must be anywhere from teens to mid-20s, and they go stand in this line, this diplomatic line, and it's funny because you see all three of them at the same time take out their phone and do this selfie shot, like, and they're kind of like
duck face,
duck face, everything, and I'm like, look at these three dumbasses, like, oh my god, like, what has this world come to that the first thing they want to do when they get off the plane is go post where they're at, what they're doing,
online.
And the whole time they're just taking pictures when it clearly says in this custom areas, no cameras,
photos.
So diplomatic immunity, like, oh my god, these guys.
It's just been revoked.
Yeah.
That speaks to a larger fear I have of ever being anyone's social media content. Like anytime I see the phone out, I want to like hide my face and run, right? Any airline or situation like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things also I think Jason touched on this before is that we've moved into such an asynchronous communication method now. Like everybody's text message, Signal, social media. When you get a hold of Glenn, I never call him. I just send him a message and he just messages me when he's free. But if Glenn were to ever call me, I would say, oh no, what happened? Is he okay? Like that'd be my first thought. I'm like, why is Glenn calling me? If he needs to get a hold of me, he usually messages me. And I think that's the same thing. Like if my parents get a phone call from me, like, oh no, what's wrong? What happened? And if somebody spoofs my number, which is, trivial these days, then that just puts that, increased sense of urgency on them.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I've educated my mom because I travel a lot, and I said, if anyone ever calls you that tells you that I'm in trouble and I need money, just hang up. Just don't.
Yeah.
Just. Yeah, that it just doesn't happen. Yeah,
I know.
Just
the
move
one
on
time
with your
Glenn's
life.
like, I lost my wallet. I really need money. You're like, no, thank you. Click.
Yeah. No, I would never call my family to tell them I'm. There's only one person I'd call, and like I said, it's
two, Glenn, Brian, and
two.
Chris.
That's right. And actually, and the wife, depending on the infraction, it's not the wife. So, yeah.
The other thing you can do is have a code word. That's what they say for like kidnapping scams. Give that person a code word. Unless you hear this code word, it's a scam. But if I really did get kidnapped, I will give the kidnappers this code word and they'll tell it to you.
Is kidnapping a thing though now these days? Because that's a federal crime, and it involves the FBI. I don't think it's as big as it used to be. Just correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm sure it still happens. It probably isn't as prevalent as before. I think maybe like kidnap for ransom might not be quite as prevalent. I think what would never change is one spouse kidnaps, a divorced spouse.
Yeah.
They kidnap the kid, and that's why we get those Amber Alerts.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just like, yeah, you think of what's the For the Girls, or one of those movies where Along Came a Spider, where those
Kiss the Girls.
Yeah, Kiss the Girls. Yeah, something like that, right? You know what I'm talking about, where it's like a Hannibal Lecter type that kidnaps these girls and puts them in the chamber, right? So
yeah, I grew up thinking there would be a lot more letters made of like cutting out letters out of magazines and pasting them on a piece of paper. Yeah. That trope that I thought that'd be way more prevalent in my adult life than it actually is.
Yeah. But like who has a magazine these days, right?
Yeah, kids these days, they won't even know. Like you can't cut up an iPad. Maybe do it in Photoshop.
Yeah.
All right, for our second topic, this will be our ransomware story of the week. Panera Bread, the fast casual breakfast, soup and sandwich, and the minimum wage dodging chain, was the victim of a ransomware attack back in March. I was personally suspicious when I got an alert from my Panera app that all online ordering and mobile app features were offline and service in the restaurants were impacted. Later, the food chain would admit it was due to a crippling ransomware attack against their systems. Well, an email sent out to all Panera employees yesterday all but confirms that they paid the ransom to the attackers. A single sentence in the disclosure stated that the threat actor promised to destroy all the data stolen during an attack, which included employees' personal information. Typically, companies would not guarantee the stolen data was destroyed unless they paid the ransom, like in the case with Change Healthcare and United Health Group or Caesars in Las Vegas.
That's
Panera.
Like, what do they gain? Just employee data? Like, I don't. You can have it. I mean, it's out there already. It's probably been taken from Target and everybody else. So.
It is, but they probably didn't want the PR nightmare of saying all of our customer data, all the credit. Well, I mean, if there was credit card, they'd have to report it anyway, but they didn't want that. Either major disruption like MGM got versus Caesars, or just the PR nightmare of having a massive data breach.
Going back even, Panera's having a rough year. Didn't they get into trouble with their charged lemonade being over-caffeinated and causing medical problems, right? So not only their products are harmful, right? So the charged lemonade is giving people heart palpitations, and now they can't even keep their data safe.
Yeah. Chris, which episode was that? We talked about that in one of our episodes.
Oh, this is wrong.
If I'm not mistaken, I
wrongful
think
death.
someone
Wow.
died.
Yeah.
The first, I just typed in Panera Lemonade. The first headline is subject of multiple wrongful death. not the headline the PR team wants to see.
I know Panera. I love the hazelnut coffee, but man, it's getting a dangerous place to go to now.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I-
the
like I
drinks
said,
can
I-
contain up to 390 milligrams of caffeine, which I think a Red Bull has like 85 or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, my
maybe it's
goodness.
coffee that has 85, but 390 sounds like a lot.
I used to belong to their coffee club. It's like for $9 a month, you can get all the unlimited coffee, tea, and soda that you wanted. It was pretty cool. And then they raised the prices, and I just said, forget it. It's not worth it.
Okay, I clicked the article. I am right. So it says the charged lemonade contains 390 milligrams of caffeine. A typical 8-ounce can of Red Bull has 80. So this is like 5 times the amount of caffeine in a single Red Bull.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of caffeine.
I'm all about being like an iced coffee passenger princess at times of my life, but I do want to also maintain consciousness after drinking one of their beverages.
Oh. You'll be conscious for about 2 hours, and then you might lose consciousness.
Then pass out.
You'll be hyper focused for those 2 hours.
But for some people that have ADHD, it just calms them down. Like they can think straight.
Oh,
They can
right.
think clearly after that.
That's true. It's like Adderall or something.
Yeah.
Going back to this argument, since when do you trust the attackers to delete your data?
I
I mean,
know,
they just ransomed you.
Never.
That's what the FBI says. Like, don't pay the ransom. Like, there's no. I mean, there's dozens of confirmed cases of somebody promising to delete the data, but it's not. Like, they give you a fake website that, here, watch me delete the data, and then it's impossible to put the genie back in the bottle. Once the data's out there, there could be multiple copies of it, and they can delete one copy, and then, like in the case of United Health Group or Change Health, the affiliate had the data. They paid the ransomware as a service crew, and then they exit scan, Alpha V exit scan, and now the affiliate still has the data, and they paid, but they're like, you didn't pay us, so we still have your data.
And who will eventually pay for that? Is it you, the consumer? Is it the employee wages? Is it the insurance? Is it the price of the product? That cost is going to be passed along to someone,
It's all the above.
right?
Yeah, so if you were the CISO of a company, let's say even if it was Panera or something else, then you just heard of a breach. What are your first thoughts? Like, oh my God, I should go pay this in order to get things back up and operational. What are your thoughts?
It's that sense of urgency, right?
Yeah.
The whole same sort of feeling that scammers and phone calls rely on, that false sense of urgency that you have to act right now to fix it.
Yeah,
And that's typically what they do. They say if you pay in 2 days, it's this price. If you wait a week, it doubles. If you wait a month, it triples.
Right.
So that they
Right.
have that sense of urgency. I
Good
remember
times.
when we had Ben on, he's a CISO in residence here, and he says the first thing, lock everything down. We'll figure out, we'll remediate later, but just gotta stop the bleeding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully,
It also speaks. Those of you with kids, like how many apps do you have on your device now for food chains? Because I mean, my kids are now 7 and 4 and 4. The amount of apps for food chains is blown up on my device when it comes to Panera and all these other different places, right?
is it because
So
they're chasing
just-
rewards?
Panda
Like,
Express.
yeah,
Yeah, Panda Express, right? Caribou. I just got the Caribou rewards app, right? And told myself I'd never do that, and sure enough, I travel enough, and now it's on my phone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chris is everything. He's got a whole page dedicated to.
I have a whole folder, but I've tried to do the thing. I think it was when Sam Curry was on. We were talking about mobile app security and how you can get owned by some stupid update. I try to delete. Like I haven't been to Chick-fil-A in a month. I'll delete the app, and if I ever go back there, I'm just going to download it again. So you just need to log in,
Right.
and hope that your mobile connection is fast enough to download the app when you really want some Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
or go to the website.
Are you using a password manager on your mobile device?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody here does. And then Apple in their iOS 18, I think Jason's an Apple guy. Apple will have their own Apple Password Manager too, so that'll compete with Bitwarden and LastPass and all those guys.
Right.
Although the built-in iCloud password sync is pretty good. Like if you're locked in the Apple ecosystem, it's pretty good. And if you go to Windows, not so much. But if you're Apple, Mac, iPad, iPhone, it's
Who the
pretty
hell
good.
uses Windows? I can talk to everybody these days.
Kobe,
Yeah.
Mr. Windows and Android guy, Victor.
Victor, is he Windows? I thought he was Mac, but uses
No, I think he's a Windows. Because we're always saying he doubles down on bad ideas.
Yeah. Well, he is Canadian Italian, right? So there you go.
Yeah. He finally fixed his cracked screen on his Android phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's like you said, you can't trust those hackers. So even though the threat actor promised to delete the data, they still said, we'll give you free credit monitoring and freeze your credit and everything like that. So they're still taking precautions. So I'm trying to also figure out what was their motivation in paying. Did they think that was it the PR thing? Was it they didn't think they had adequate backups, or what was their motivation for pay? Because they're still down for like over a week. I remember the mobile app wasn't available for like a week and a half.
Could you imagine getting that email as not customer, but as an employee, going, God, they wouldn't pay us $20 an hour, but they're damn willing to pay us a ransomware attack.
Paying the ransom.
What the hell?
I should stop slinging coffee and get into computer crime.
No kidding, right? Like stop baking shit and freaking make some dough.
This seems lucrative.
Some real dough.
Yep.
Although you'll have to move to a non-extradition country because the U.S. government will come after you eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, they're gonna come after you.
I'm still here in America, so come find me.
Yeah.
All right, and now on the topic of scams for our third topic, in a real-life The Beekeeper moment, and we waited for Brian to go on vacation before talking about this topic since he hates that movie with a passion. Data firm executives were rightfully convicted for selling data to fraudsters to help target elderly people with common scams. A former senior executive and a former sales manager of Epsilon Data Management LLC were convicted of selling data of millions of Americans to perpetrators of mail fraud schemes. It uses advanced algorithms and comprehensive databases of 100 million U.S. households to predict consumer behavior and identify potential buyers for their clients' products and services. And just like in the plot line in the movie The Beekeeper, the CIA developed this targeting data to find terrorists through finance. They repurposed that to target elderly people that would be susceptible to scams. So basically, that's what happened here. They took this data and says, well, who's likely to buy your shower soap? And they just reprogrammed it to who's most likely to fall for this scam, and they sold that data to these scammers out there. So no love lost on these guys. Hope they get thrown in a hole and we throw away the key.
I'll be interested to see what the sentencing is, right?
Yeah, it depends on the crime. Like whatever crime they got convicted of, I hope they give them the maximum, and they hope they have consecutive sentences just to lock these people up.
These are white collar crimes, though. These are white collar crimes, though, right? They're not. Yeah. This is like Club Med for prison, something like that.
Club Fed.
Yep, Club Fed,
Club
right?
Fed, yeah. Yeah.
So like Bernie Madoff was. He's in like a Club Fed.
Yeah.
So just got to watch out for senior executives and sales managers.
Yeah, got to watch out for those shifty people. They're the ones selling the data.
Right.
God dang, if they weren't rich already, they're going to make it even more.
The backstory is here. I'm really curious now to find out why Brian hates this movie with such a passion. I'm going to have to dig into that one.
We talked about it on one of the episodes, I remember. We were waiting until all of us watched. I think he was the holdout, because Glenn and I watched it right away. We loved it, and then he was the holdout. And then we finally told him to watch it. He had a long flight. And yeah, there's an episode where he critiqued it. I'll send you, I forget what episode number it is, but we'll send it to you.
He doesn't like watching anybody that's sexier than him. So.
It's true.
Right.
So Jason Statham.
A lot of parallels between Statham and Deitch, right?
Bald and buff.
Yeah, bald and buff.
He sees him as his competition. I think maybe because the three of us and another guy in our group chat, we hyped it up a little too much, so he had very high expectations of it. I mean, it's a good movie. Like on its own, it's a good movie. If you go in with the expectation that this is a Jason Statham one-man army fight the system kind of movie, like Crank or one of those other ones, like that's what you expect. But maybe he was expecting a little too much.
The mechanic.
When I see,
yeah,
yep. when I see Jason Statham, I expect a lot of scowling and growling,
Yeah.
right? And high leg kicks.
Yeah, but one of his criticism, which I will say is valid, the actors other than Jason Statham were horrible.
Yeah.
Though Jeremy Irons was good in it.
Oh man, he was in that film? Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was in that.
Yeah.
You know what movie I just saw with Jeremy Irons? Speaking of which, I'm going way off topic, but Margin Call. Have you guys seen that one?
Yes, that's a great film.
That's a great one. I'll have to add to the list, Glenn. But yeah, he plays the role perfectly. Like, he's only in it for a short bit of time, but he's the perfect person for that role.
Yeah. I think Jeremy Irons was in. He was in Die Hard.
The Lion King. Yeah, number 3.
The Lion King.
Yeah, he was Scar.
He's in The Lion
voice of
King.
Scar.
He's in the Lion King. He's the first. Oh,
He's Scar.
Yeah, he's voice of Scar.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was in Die Hard 3. He did a great job in Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
He was also an Alfred in one of the Batman iterations. I forget which now. Maybe it was the most recent one. He was Alfred the Butler.
Oh shoot, you're right.
Michael
I'm
Caine
surprised.
was it in the Christopher Nolan ones, but I don't remember which one he was, which series.
Yeah. I'm sure we can find it.
I think he might have been with the Ben Affleck version of Batman.
That could be it, yeah. The new DC reboot. Yeah. Well, anyways.
Oh, Dawn of Justice. You're right.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck. Dawn of Justice. Yeah. Huh.
The other side topic I thought of when you're going into movies and we're going into... Recently we saw the movie Atlas, which is on Netflix, and it had this big AI component, but I've been thinking about the overprevalence of AI and everything we encounter today. And I recently saw an advertisement for a Logitech mouse that has a blue button in the middle, which when you press it, it pulls up ChatGPT. So like you can just imagine like these Logitech executives needing, like, we've got to get AI in our mouse. Somehow we've got to incorporate these two topics. And sure enough, they put a button on this mouse that you just click it and you go right to AI.
AI-powered
right?
mouse. So basically the macro button that's been around since the 90s. Just program this macro button to open ChatGPT.
It just reminds me of like blockchain a couple years ago. Everyone had that blockchain and everything.
I remember
and
that. The lemonade company or the iced tea company that rebranded themselves blockchain. Yeah. AI being the new buzzword.
So I gotta ask, Jason, what did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Hate it?
Alice?
No. Beekeeper.
I have not seen The Beekeeper, honestly. I have to see it now.
All right, so Jason's gonna watch Beekeeper. Glenn's gonna watch
She's gonna watch
Margin Call.
Atlas. Margin Call or Atlas? Which one?
They're both. Margin Call is a great film.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
For those of us that lived through the financial crisis of 2008.
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, he was good in it. Demi Moore was in it.
Oh, then I'm definitely gonna watch it. Yeah. I like Demi. G.I. Jane. Who could not like G.I. Jane?
Will Smith, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, for our last topic, and it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week, we're going to talk about what massively improved your mental health. And I think I could speak for Brian since he's not here. I think him quitting social media, I think probably improved his mental health. I mean, I remember he was on Instagram and all those apps like hours a day. Like I had a group chat with him and Rob, and just I log into this app maybe once a week, but every time I would log in, there's like hundreds of messages from him like, you gotta check this out, you gotta check this out, you gotta check this out. So I think quitting social media was a good one for him. For me, it was quitting Reddit after Reddit's whole API debacle last June. Like I shouldn't say I completely quit Reddit, but it went down like 99%. Like I'm only on there occasionally for tech support, help questions, or something or the other. But I used to spend hours on that scrolling through the Apollo app for mobile. And then I'll do one more, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. Leaving a toxic work environment, that was a significant change for me. Like I think my first job out of college, I was making $17 an hour, and it was a job. It was good. Like I learned work ethic. I learned to show up on time. I learned to not mess with the boss's stuff. But after I changed managers probably 3 years into it, and after that, it went significantly downhill. And we talked on past episodes about people that said you'll never amount to anything, and how that motivates you to prove them wrong. So that was my manager that said, I'll never amount to anything. I'm going to be stuck in a dead-end job. I'm like, well, of course, if I stay here, I'm going to be in a dead-end job. There's no path for promotion here. And then moving to another company where I actually had a real manager and a mentor, like that was significant for me.
Agreed. I saw a quote from Keanu Reeves recently talking about how he's just decided to disengage from people he disagrees with, and that if you tell me that 1 + 1 is 5, I'm going to just say, sure, okay, and walk away, right? I think the idea
That's
that
solid.
Just because you have an
You
have an opinion.
Such a Keanu thing to do.
Yeah, such a Keanu thing. Like, now I'm at the age, and I think it's a generational age thing, but I don't have to prove you wrong. I don't have to engage with that. And my wife is really good about gray rocking situations where like people try to provoke you into some sort of emotional response, and the idea of gray rocking that has been a big one too.
Yeah, my wife is like that too. Like, have you guys heard of this phrase called rage bait? That's like a new term on social media, like rage bait. Like my wife gets sucked into that so easy. I'm like, don't take the rage bait. Don't take the rage bait. Like there's a story about this guy. I'll tell in fast forward, so I'll let Glenn go. But he bought like a bunch of Teslas, and he like crashed them because he would like turn on autopilot, then he'd take a nap in the back seat. And he gave an interview. He was like, as long as Tesla sells me cars, I'm just going to keep buying more. Like, he's just like overly obnoxious. And she's like, I hate it when people are like that. I'm like, don't take the rage bait. That's what the guy wants you to think. Like, he's living rent free in everyone's mind just because he's so obnoxious.
Yeah, I don't know what the algorithm is for shorts on YouTube, but there's some folks I'm like dislike. I don't know if that gives them more points, but I don't know. I'm hoping like for every dislike they have to get 10 likes to get it back, right? So
fix the ratio.
I don't know. I wonder if engagement is engagement, right? I think even negative engagement garners profits.
Yeah, because
that's a good question. Yeah.
And then another story. So my wife showed, she's always on Instagram, so she showed me this video. Like, she watches a lot of cooking videos, which is cool. Like, she gets recipes and stuff from there. There's one video I remember distinctly where they're cutting the cucumber, they're slicing it, but they leave the sticker on the cucumber. They cut it with the sticker on, then they throw it in the frying pan with the sticker on. Like, all the comments are like, I just came here, I only commented because of the sticker, or I'm so mad that you left the sticker on. I'm like, that's total rage bait. Like, they're trying to goad you. Like, they know what they're doing. They're trying to goad the engagement based on something outrageous.
Yeah, I just can't believe it's a job now. Becoming an influencer.
It's a college program now too at some university.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But please go ahead, Glenn.
Just on that topic of disengage, I that's kind of like there's two sides of that, and I'm okay with engaging someone and having a healthy conversation because you should, like, if you're differing, and it's okay to have difference of opinions. But when the person gets so adamant that their opinion is more important than you, then disengage. Totally agree with that, right? Because that's what adults do. Adults can agree to disagree and just still be friends. Like, I'm still friends with Chris, even though I disagree with his lifestyle. Right?
You don't approve of me. I know that, Glenn. We can still be friends.
Still be friends.
I don't approve of Glenn's consistent audio issues, and he never takes the effort to fix it. But we're still friends, and he shows up every week.
Exactly. Sorry, go ahead, Jason. Now, like I said,
the other part I saw when it comes to mental health is that I've noticed firsthand gym culture has really changed like in the last 4 to 5 years.
Because of the pandemic.
And if you're somebody who has used like a gym ever since the pandemic, but now the gym becoming like a place for content creation has been baffling to me. Like the amount of cameras and people trying to catch people looking at them and or like people doing videos of their own workouts. It's just astonishing to me. I don't know, and I'm terrified whenever I go to the gym of seeing someone with their device out and not wanting to be part of anyone's videos.
Yeah, I would agree with that because Brian sent us a video of him working out. Actually, it was either him working out or he sent us a video of like a girl recording herself working out. I'm like, why is this a thing now? And he's like, no, everybody does it. It's like a common thing now. You just video yourself working out. And I said, okay, I don't remember that being a thing 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, just
I'm like, I'm not okay with that. Like, there's a lot of people that go to the gym because they're like physically insecure and they're trying to fix that. Like, the last thing you want to do is get put on blast on some social media account.
Yeah, for like looking the wrong way and then being told that you're being stared at. So that is it Jimmy Swalls that does that on YouTube? Yep. He's awesome. I love him. And for the most part, I firmly believe that if you belong to a gym and the gym's policy is no video, it should be no video, right? So that's like one of the first things I ask. Right. The gym that I go to, they're not allowed. So
yeah, go to a private gym. And
or make your own
videos.
Gym. Yeah. So,
Chris, I'll echo 100% though with Reddit. I was watching way too many videos of the conflict in Ukraine.
Oh yeah,
and it was just like really affecting my mental health. Like some really awful videos. Like, and I'd finish like, why am I watching this? This is like making me feel really bad inside. Yeah. But 100%, like when Reddit made that change, I kind of backed away from that platform too. Yeah. And it's been huge for me in terms of not seeing content like that anymore.
Yeah, I've noticed as well from like YouTube. I don't know how I got into this algorithm, but for some reason, all they send me now is girls working out in bikinis on the beach, and I'm like,
I wonder
how did I get out of this, right? And then the other one is
like, oh my gosh, that's disgusting. Where can I find it?
Yeah. So it's like, I'm done. It's like, I should just stop watching YouTube shorts.
I'll send you some videos, Glenn. That'll fix the algorithm for you.
There you go. Thank you. Hopefully it's nothing inappropriate. But yeah. No.
It's YouTube.
YouTube also.
Yeah.
Recently, for when it comes to YouTube, my kids are 7, 4, and 4, and I put up. I gave them their first PC tower in the kitchen. Right, I wanted them to learn how to actually use a real computer.
The family computer.
Put the family computer in the kitchen, right? Yeah, and gave them the keyboard and the mouse. First of all, the first thing I try to do is tap the monitor, which is hilarious because there's
not a touch screen.
So we're trying to teach them how to use a mouse and a keyboard, but running everything, obviously doing my content filtering through Zscaler. But the amount of garbage on YouTube is just mind-boggling, and it's like you're only a couple clicks away from some really bad content.
It's crazy, and even like in restricted mode or YouTube Kids, like there was Elsa Gate a while ago, a couple years ago, like it's age appropriate in that they're cartoon characters, but what they were doing together was definitely not age appropriate.
100%, yeah.
So I know for me, I've recently, it's been 4 or 5 weeks now, I gave up coffee. It's been a tough one. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been tough, and I try to give up caffeine, but every once in a while, I'll have a soda that has caffeine, and it's like, whoa,
you're just wired, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been fun. I've been drinking decaf, which is like just dirty water, right? Yeah. So, but it's got the same
like dishwater,
same feeling. But that's kind of helped me, kind of mental. And then, like I said, just recently, just realizing that YouTube, the way they put me into this classification, is something I need to get rid of.
You retrain the algorithm, Glenn.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the caffeine. That's I feel like that's the one thing I can't kick. The morning coffee is just too important to me. But I'd be curious to see how you did you have headaches? Were you moody through the transition, or how would you describe it?
I felt like I had no energy. On the transition, I felt like
you had a chemical dependence on caffeine.
I was falling asleep at 1, 2 o'clock where I shouldn't have been. I couldn't hang. It was just crazy.
Before kids, I used to give up caffeine for Lent, so at least for 40 days I could give up soda and coffee and everything, which was hard during finals time in college. But now that I have kids, I don't think I could ever do that again.
Nope.
I'm just tired all the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Last thing I'll say on this topic is I read a book recently. It was recommended from the All In podcast. It's called The Anxious Generation. I don't remember the author or the authors, but that was a really, I would say, game changer, life-changing book. And it talks about how the generation after us, so after the millennials, tail end of millennials, beginning of Gen Z, how they would say that they talk about it a lot, but one of the things that they focus on is the state of girls' mental health. And they said in 2010 it started to decline, incidents of self-reporting of depression and anxiety, things like that. And then in 2012 there's a giant, a hockey stick spike of self-reported mental health problems with young girls. And it was basically two things happened. Number one, the iPhone 4 came out, which was the first iPhone with a front-facing camera. And number two, Instagram was launched. So the combination of those two things contribute to a significant decline in teenage health, specifically for girls as well. And it goes into a lot of detail about why this generation is messed up and how you can fix them. But the one takeaway I got was it from, no phones for kids until they're at least 12, no social media for kids until they're at least 16, just brain development and social issues and all that stuff. And I thought that was interesting. And I guess the takeaway, to bring it back to my own personal mental health, was I've tried to be present for my children as well. Like at dinner, no phones, like this is family time. At TV time, if we have family TV time, no phones, everybody's focused, everybody's present. And I think that's made a big difference, because I was always on the phone usually for work purposes too. I was seeing calls or pings left and right, but due to our new policy now, I leave my work phone in the office, and I'm much happier about that.
Good for you. Yeah, that's a hard part too, especially I've seen it, right? In demanding job and pre-sales, and you've got a lot of people, especially if you're like in some testing engagements, you want to be really present for your customers, but putting it down and being available for your children, that's a real challenge at times.
Yeah, especially at that age, she was 7, 4, and 4. Like they notice, like my kids will notice, like, Daddy, why are you on your phone all the time? Like, all right, you're right.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. I took my son to a baseball game yesterday for his first one. He's 7, and I managed to keep my phone largely in my pocket and just talk about the game and answer his questions about, we never really had those sort of seats before, but that was a great time, and it was really good to reconnect and keep my phone in my pocket.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, our guest Jason is up.
Yes, so having it been Father's Day, I received a book called Exceptionally Bad Dad Jokes, which is right here.
Oh, nice.
And this has been a great coffee table edition. What do you call a dog that can do magic?
What's that?
A labracadabrador.
That's a good one. I like that one.
I don't know if that was exceptionally bad. I think that was an exceptionally good dad joke.
All right, I'm going to do one.
The other one is...
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, please.
Go ahead,
All right,
the other one is, what do you call a number of sheep falling down a hill?
A sheep.
A landslide.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay, that might have been exceptionally bad.
I've got one that's probably going to get deleted here, but I'm doing it for Deech here. Okay.
All right. In tribute to you, Brian.
Tribute to Brian. Like, what's the difference between a woke adult and a pizza?
What?
A pizza can feed a family of 4. Sorry.
All right. Let's wrap things up. Don't answer calls from unknown phone numbers. Panera bent the knee and paid the ransom. Data firms are working with scammers. And don't forget to work on improving your mental health.
And buy an AI-powered mouse.
Right.
Logitech, thank you for that.
Wired
Yes.
mouse that's blue.
That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all our listeners and subscribers who rated us 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is search for the PEBCAK Podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. For my co-host Glenn Medina and our guest Jason Hernandez, I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week, and as always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Have a nice day.